Hey, hi everyone, this is Elise. Welcome back to the Beyond Conversation series. And I have a gentleman with me, so that title woman who have it all doesn't make sense anymore. And I'm so happy that Sam raised his hands for this interview because I was just having a chat with him earlier and I just had to stop our conversation because he has so much gem and knowledge that he can share with you. And you know what really lights me up is this: I can lose weight without running, and I want you to stay on to this. So if you're new to my work, I help spiritual entrepreneurs gain clarity in their money marketing mindset so that they can get their message out there in a much bigger way, serve more clients, make good money consistently to live the rich life they desire. Although I'm all about making the money, but Sam has a different story, and I don't want to break the egg, but it's basically about losing it all, and it's actually okay. And let me formally and warmly introduce Samuel.
Thank you.
Tell us. I'm so interested in your story. I mean, you told me that you've lost everything, and what makes you get to where you are right now? Why are you doing qigong? What happened in your life?
Well, in '96, like I said, I had a work injury that was basically a thigh muscle ripped off my pelvis, and from lifting this 250-pound auger machine. And I went to 15 doctors, and they all said that I was faking it. So the medical system, the Western medical system, obviously doesn't work. And I'll repeat how I found qigong is that I spent a year out of work, and I was reading a Kung Fu magazine about Grandmaster Yamen Zhang, the Tibetan monk who teaches people to heal through shamanic qigong. And so I was just sitting there with my book in my hands, like, God, wouldn't it be wonderful if Master Zhang came to Vermont? And a week later, I picked up the newspaper, and there's an ad of Master Yamen Zhang coming to Vermont. So I knew it was going to happen. I was like, okay, that universe just shifted and put him in my path. And I didn't have the money because I was out of work for a year. And I said, if it's going to happen, it's just meant to be. The money will be here. And that day before the class was scheduled, I got a federal check back, and it was exactly what I needed for the weekend. 2 hours of qigong, I was completely healed after being unable to move for almost a year. So it literally took me a half an hour to walk from my vehicle 20 feet to the front door to get into the qigong place. A half hour. And here I was 26 years old.
Wow. So you said something about you didn't have the money, but you knew you wanted to do this. What was your thought process? Did you have any doubts? Because I asked this question because there are so many of us, so many people. I want this, I want that, but I don't have the money, and then they self-sabotage themselves with all these thoughts. So what was your thought process? Like, you didn't have the money. That was a reality, for sure. Like, there's no way you can change that. But you knew that you were going for it. So what was that, what was going on in your head?
Well, see, I don't believe in the whole law of attraction stuff. It's a Hermeclean science that's been around since 1100 BC. And what I do believe in is life path. If it is part of your life path, it will just fall into your life path. There's none of this, you have to think, you have to concentrate, you have to put the intent out there. If it's your part of your life path, it will just fall into place. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to try for it. You don't have to put any mental energy into it. All you do is be in prayer. And so that requires a lot of faith. And that's where a lot of people fail. And they lose their faith because they think they want to go down this path. And they totally ignore the path that's being opened up for them. And I did that so many times. I've been veering off course and coming back to course, and which has led me into being more of a healer. I'm a science lover, so I wanted to be an astrophysicist, but here I am doing healing work, and I'm showing people how to heal. And so, being that I don't believe in the attraction stuff, I just believe that everything will fall into place. You have prayer and faith, and be aware of what your life path is. It's almost like a video game in a way. It's a real life video game. You have to see where your life path is going and see the steps that are coming, and not try to look ahead and think you know what's coming next. That becomes a really hard part. That plays a lot with the ego there.
I think most people want to know the how, but before the how even happens, how do you know that this is your life path? You know, most people don't know what they're meant to do. They don't know, they feel, they think, they don't know what's their life purpose. I suppose when you say life path, it really means life purpose, what you're meant to do. So how do you know, like, until you have tried and you hit your head and bump your head on the wall and, you know, this is not what I'm supposed to do?
I think I've bumped my head enough so I know what I'm supposed to do. I've probably bumped my head 10,000 times against 10,000 walls and closed doors. And every time it comes to healing, it just opens up. I do craniosacral therapy also. And that just opened up to me. I also do theta healing. That just fell open. When the first time I heard theta healing, I was like, my brain just exploded, like fireworks went off. I was like, okay, I have to know what theta healing is. And so I got online, I contacted a few people for teachers. I got very negative responses. And then this one email said, you have to contact Ellen. It was like, and I got a really warm feeling about that person. I was like, So I was going on it has a lot to do with your feelings more than your thought. You know, it was my feeling that theta healing was something for me. And when I saw the name Ellen, I just had this warm feeling in my body. I was like, oh, I went to her. She's a wonderful teacher. And theta healing takes Qigong to another higher level because you're able to get into mental programs that you can't get out with Qigong. And, you know, same thing happened with craniosacral. I just heard the word, didn't even know what it was. Instantly, fireworks went off inside my head. Like, I got to know what that is. You know, all the other healing modalities there are out there are like, you know, but this just fireworks in the head, this wonderful feeling of you have to know what that is. And both times with craniosacral and theta healing and Qigong, the universe just opened up and gave me the money, and poof, I was there at the class. And I didn't have anything at the time. It was like $1,000 just plop, just came out of nowhere. You know, someone called me up and was like, I need a plumbing job or I need a roofing job. And it's like,
so hang on, it came out of nowhere, but you still needed to exchange something for that $1,000. You said plumbing job and all that. So, you know, there's so much going on. Like, you know, I manifested it, came out of nowhere. It's not really nowhere. You know, I think that like, you know, smoke and screen around there with the marketing. It's not out of nowhere. People exchange something for something unless you're waiting for a lottery, which is like in a million chance, right? But when it came out of nowhere, what people really means is opportunities came out of nowhere. You still have to exchange your services for something, for money in this case. That's what you want, right, Sam?
Yeah. It's you know, the jobs weren't there, and the money really wasn't there. And then when I said I'm going to do this class, out of nowhere, like 3 or 4 people called me up. It's like, I need this, I need that, I need that. And I've done so many different things in my life that I can do just about anything. I've been a plumber, a carpenter, a roofer. You know, I can work on around people's electrician. I can work in people's houses, and or I can, you know, I used to have a delivery business, so people would call me up like, I need this delivered here, and it's like, here. So the money just,
it's like the perfect
nowhere.
So this is like a perfect example that you were willing to do whatever it takes without prostitution, legally and morally.
Yeah. And you don't lower yourself.
Yeah, it's like you have to exchange something for something. So you were willing to do, maybe plumbing didn't really light you up, but you knew you needed the money. So yes. I think a lot of people have this concept like, you know, I need to do things that lights me up, blah, 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 blah. But on the path to success, people need to have some sort of sacrifice. I mean, I don't think plumbing or the computer or the delivery really light you up. But it was the journey at the end of the destination, the money that will fulfill whatever that you want to do that lights you up. I think that's the journey that most people miss out, and they miss out on telling the truth.
Yeah, I mean, here I was completely broke, all 3 times, completely broke. And as soon as I said, I'm going to set my mind to doing that, poof, it all opened up for me. So, but everything else I've ever tried has been boom, boom, boom. I just keep running these walls. I want to do this, boom. I want to do this, boom. But if I say I want to do healing, poof, it opens right up.
So it becomes effortless. It becomes effortless, right? I mean, I feel as well, if you are struggling, you're not allowing God, the universe, to come help you.
Right.
Right? And I also want to talk about this that you have mentioned, that you lost everything. And I asked you earlier, like, what do you think what does everything mean? What did you lose?
Oh, well, I lost everything. I was living out of my tent and back in the woods that I squandered a spot back in the woods. That's one of the things about Vermont. There's lots of woods. And I grew up in nature, so the woods are just second nature to me, and it doesn't bother me to be out in the woods by myself. Where other people, they've got these mental blocks where, oh, there's lions and tigers and bears, oh my, and they panic. And for me, it's like, yeah, you're in trees, man. Bother me. And so I don't have that fear in my mind of the woods, but just, living out of your tent, struggling to make ends meet and finding a new job and starting off from zero. And though I'm not doing what I want to do.
So I want to backtrack a little bit. How did you lose everything?
When you're out of work for a year, the banks come along and they take all your stuff. And of course,
were you scared?
Huh?
Were you scared?
Yeah, it tore me apart each time. I've lost it twice. And each time it has really tore me up. But each time has also made me stronger.
So if you think that life is really terrible for you right now, oh my God, why I'm not getting clients? Think about Sam. He lost everything. He's got to build a tent. And so if you compare, like, whatever your situation is right now, then you have so many things to be grateful for because the bank's not going after your car and your house.
Yeah, even when they do that, you really got to consider about your life path and seeing where you're going. It's basically being aware of who you are, what's happening around you, what type of friends you're having, basically your environment, your work environment, your people you're hanging around with, the people you're talking to on Facebook. What kind of energy are you really sending out there? I see a lot of people who have Facebook friends, and they're all talking about the Illuminati and how it's destroying their lives, when it's not the Illuminati. It's themselves thinking bad about the outside world. Mm-hmm. It's their own thought path, but they choose to blame somebody else. And I always bring it up. Oh, why don't you think this way? And they're like, huh? And that's we like to
Sam, when you're going through that period, I don't think you actually had the maturity to think like, okay, there's something bigger for me out there. So how did you get from losing it the first time and then again, and to actually realize that, hey, there's a lesson? Well, and how did you overcome it?
The main thing is what I teach in my healing classes is to always look to the future. If you do not look to the future, if you do not set a goal, you will always spin in that perpetual whirlpool of I suck, life sucks, things aren't going good. You'll sit and spin in that perpetual loop. Where if you look to the future, I want to be here, even though it's the wrong direction, it will get you out of that whirlpool. And you go out and you bump your head again. But keep looking to the things that open up for you. And what opens up for me is healing stuff, even though it's not where I want to go. It's never been my path. I didn't wake up as a kid going, I'm going to be a healer. I want to be an astronaut. When I was 3, I want to be an astronaut. And if you told me that I could go to NASA right now and be an astronaut, I'd be there. But everything for healing is just opened up for me, and it just keeps going that way. And I don't advertise a lot, but people just keep coming to me. And I think the universe sends those people to me. And there's always the same people who were in the same predicament that I was in.
Mm.
They've come to the end of the road. They've done the medical science, the Western medical science stuff. They didn't get anywhere. And now they just feel like they've lost everything. And I seem to, those people come to my path. And I just say, what do you want to be in the future? Where do you want to go? And that's always the first question I always ask them.
It's like Neil Donald Walsh, the author. He was homeless for a while, and at first,
Yep.
you don't think that this is your life path to be homeless, but yet, it got him to where he needed to be right now, the international bestseller, and so on and so forth, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
what was your lesson? I think at that point in time, really, when shit hits the fan, nobody would think, okay, this is my lesson. I actually did ask for it. What was your lesson? What have you learned, having lost everything twice? What was the main lesson for you?
Ego. It's the battling of the ego. It's battling of the self. I'm a Leo, so I'm like very prideful. Egos and Leos go good together. So having my ego broken down to nothingness really takes a number out of you. It takes the wind out of your sails. And it really understands the way society is set up. We set this whole fabric of society up, and we have it manufactured that if you start out here, you'd have to go here. Or if you go to college, you're going to get a better paying job. We're told all these lies when it's actually character inside more than knowledge of any school could ever teach you. If you have good character, you're going to accelerate in life. And character is equal to soul, and that brings you closer to God. And you have to have character and you have to have faith. And if you don't have either one of those, if you're relying purely on ego, you're going to go nowhere. That's what I've really discovered is the fake fabric that our ego is made of, and what we think we are compared to who we really are. And the ego is all fake. It really breaks it down in understanding who you really are and where you're going to go in life. And it's really sad that most people will cling to that ego to their death.
So you said something earlier about ego, and there's this saying, money is the root to all evil. And I think after you said that, I'm going to change that. The ego is the root to all evil.
No, the ego serves a purpose of being able to classify our brain's way of classifying the universe around us. Small, tall, flat, dark, It's a way of classifying stuff. It's a way of inputting information. But when it overrules, say if you got someone who wants to be a nurse, and they don't have the money for school, but there's a trucking job available which they can do. They should be able to take the trucking job. But most people have the ego of saying, no, it's not where I want to go. And so they will completely ignore the money that's available to them to bounce off the wall, and they'll sit there and they'll spin in that whirlpool of like, I'm not good enough to go to school, I'll never make any money. Where if they just divert just a little bit for 4 years, they don't have to do it for a lifetime. They can get the money they need to do the other thing.
Yeah.
And when you're on your life path, things will just open up. It's amazing. It's when I was down and out and stuff. I woke up one day, I was starving, and I was like, I need food. And I just sat there and meditated for a while. And I saw this guy loading food in the back of his truck. I was like, I know where that is. So I walked over as a store, and there was this guy who was loading waste food into this truck that was take to the homeless shelter to give it away. And I was like, he saw me. He goes, "You want a box of this?" I never said a word to him. I was like, okay, we gave you a whole box of food. That's enough for like 2 weeks. So it was like, I could have panicked and like, oh my God, I'm going to starve to death. But taking that 20 minutes to myself, going inside and working out is one of my main things. Going inside and work out. And just seeing what the universe has to say. And the universe will direct you and it will open things up for you. And the next part is going inside ourselves. It sometimes doesn't work best by ourselves. It actually helps to have somebody else working with you. Is finding the negative programs that are holding us back.
But how do you know that, how do we know what are the negative programs that are holding us back?
Mostly through muscle testing. You can do it. You can do it dowsing. And you can find different things like it's, mine was, I know what it feels like to be accepted. I tested myself on that, and I was tested negative.
How do you test yourself on that?
And I don't know if I can show you on the video camera, but you can stand up, and you face north, and you say, first qualify what's a yes and what's a no.
You have to face north. You cannot face south.
Yeah.
You have to face north. Is that what you say?
Mostly going north, and I was like, I know what it feels like to be accepted, and now I'll move forward because I changed that program. But when I said that, I went backwards. So my body did not know what it's like to feel accepted. And that's where theta healing comes in. You pray to Creator to download the programs to feel accepted. And right after I did that, the next day, I had 4 job offers. The next morning, I had 4 job offers.
So, hang on, Sam. I have a question, Sam. So you have to face north. You cannot face south. You cannot face west. You have to face north.
North works best.
Okay.
You can face south, but you don't always get the proper answer.
Okay.
So it works good in the grocery store.
Okay, got it. So now you know that's your negative programming, but first you need to be sort of like aware that that is your negative programming. So I'm guessing like if you don't, then you need to seek external help, get somebody to know, right? But I'm saying I think everybody knows their true selves, whether they admit it or not. So now that we know this is the negative programming, how do you transform that? How did you transform that? And then the next day you had 4 jobs. What did you do?
Well, it's called theta healing, and it's absolutely a wonderful, wonderful tool to be utilized. And you actually, the great thing about theta healing, it's completely ego-free.
What healing? Sorry.
It's ego-free. You cannot have an ego in theta healing, because say I was working on you, and you're working on a negative program. You came to one, I don't know what it feels like to be loved, and so we work on Creator God downloading it. What I do is I pray to God, and I'm witnessing Him downloading the programs into you. And so you can change a person's complete programming. And like I was working on this one lady, and so her was clarity. She did not know what clarity was. So I was like, oh, let's download the programs to clarity. And so what I witnessed was this giant white crystal being placed down inside of her. And so afterwards, I was like, did you experience anything? She says, I experienced like this giant white beam going down through me. So, I mean, what she sees and I see are different, but it was really wild to know that she saw this thing. So you actually know it does happen. But in theta healing, I am the witness. And because it's really not you, it's Creator putting the downloads that we need for our DNA and our body into us. And it's a wonderful tool because it really gets into the subconscious and it really starts ripping apart everything we think we know and getting right down to what we don't know.
Right. So you talked a lot about healing. I want to know, like, what do you mean by healing? Do you see this person as broken and he needs to be fixed, or what do you mean by, how do you see healing?
I see it as how removed from God you are. The closer we are to God, the more healed we are. And let me explain that to you in a really good way. Imagine God as a beam of light. And on our first incarnation of Earth, we're born right beside it. We have all these powers. We have all this knowledge. Life flows through us easily. We tell a lie, which basically puts a piece of paper up. Still, the light's bright. Every incarnation we do, we tell lies, we commit murders, and blah, blah, blah. We put a whole wall of papers up. Eventually, we're very, very far away from our original point, and the light is weaker and weaker and weaker. What theta healing and qigong do and EFT, they work on taking down those mental programs that we've stuck up, like I'm not loved or anything like that. And they take those papers away, so it pushes you closer and closer and closer, and allows your natural power to come back and be more fulfilled. Basically coming back to your homeostasis point of proper health and being able to do just about anything you want to do. And that's why I call my website Healing to Freedom, because it's really about freedom. If you're locked into this, oh, it's 2 o'clock, I have to take my medicine again. It's not freedom. You can be able to freely move around, move your arms, move your legs, any given time. I mean, there are things that happen to people where they're actually severed, but we deal with that and we move on. But we imprison ourselves with, oh, I have to take this medicine now, or I got to do these herbs now, or and those are all aids to help us along, but they shouldn't be a part of our life permanently. I know people who take Advil every day of their life. And it's like, you don't have to do that. I can help you. And they just, nope, I got my Advil. And if they go a day without their Advil, their pain goes throughout their entire body and they feel horrible. So no, I don't see a person as broken. I just see them as removed from being
the divine
enlightened. So it's an education system on helping yourself and motivating yourself to build more character, reduce the ego, and fulfilling your destiny and becoming aware of what your life destiny is.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree about people they see themselves outside of God. They don't believe that God is there. And although they pray, but they don't believe, so that's where the faith comes in, right?
Yes.
Maybe God will bless me, maybe. And then when things don't happen, God doesn't love me and stuff like this. So they see themselves outside of the divine. When they manifest, they feel like it's outside of themselves. It's not happening. It's not within themselves. And then that's why people complain, they bitch, they gossip. And that's when the whole vicious cycle happens. So, yeah, I totally agree. I think healing, it's not seeing yourself as broken. According to you, Sam, it's about you being, how far are you away from God, and removing all those barriers and bringing you back to home. Because at the end of the day, that's where we go. But, when we are here, we sort of like don't remember what we're supposed to do.
And it's really understanding faith. I mean, I was fortunate to grow up around parents who were, I wouldn't say we weren't like super religious, but we understood faith. And understanding faith is really important in the healing of oneself. And it's like, if I didn't have the faith, I would have given up. I would have seen the Massey Yum and Zhang ad for $400 and said, well, I don't have $400, I'm not going to go. And roll it up through the way. I didn't do that. I saw it, and I was like, if it's meant to be, God will give me the money. And sure enough, I got my $500 check. So I was able to pay for the class and my freaking food and gas and place for the weekend. And, I came back healed and transformed. And understanding that there's more to life than I could ever imagine. I really started studying the 5 elements of Chinese traditional medicine. I was like, wow, this is a wonderful science. And I was really amazed about it. because I like science, so just more science was intriguing to me. But I also saw there was a fault in Qigong, and that was the American mind being able to understand it. And the Chinese, they grow up in it. It's almost heretically passed on the information into the next generations. So us in the Western Hemisphere have lost, because in Asia, I mean, in Europe, it used to be a system similar to Chinese Qigong way back, but anybody who did it got killed. And so it got lost. So the information is still there in our DNAs, and it's just learning how it incorporates. So I incorporated this whole 7 elements of health that through Qigong we can understand how it works and builds our body.
So who would need Qigong? What kind of clients typically comes to you and say, hey, I really need Qigong?
People who've tried every Western system and found nothing. I had one guy who came to me, and he got in a car accident and broke his shoulder. And the most he could do with his arm, was this. And that's all he could do. And he goes, what can we do? How can you heal me? And I was like, I can't. It's up to you. I said, where do you want to be in the future? And he's like, well, I want to move it, complete 360 up in the air, because I love snowboarding. And snowboarding is all about the shoulder work. It's not about feet or hips. It's all in the shoulder balance and keeping your shoulders moving. He goes, I can't do that, so I fall over all the time. I was like, well, let's focus on that. So I got him to focus on that. We did the Qigong exercises, and this education system of learning stagnation of energy and Qi in the body that causes the pain, and how we're going to free that up. And in 6 weeks, he comes in, and the class, the 7th week, he goes, Sam, I got something to show you. I was like, okay. He goes, the arm. He's like so elated and happy. And now it's been 7 years later, he still has full rotation of his arm. And so it's something like him who, the medical world, they did their best. And they said, that's all you're ever going to do. And
so I know I asked you a question. I asked you a question that was more of my own benefit. Like, I'm trying to lose. I know trying is not a good word, but I'm really trying because I'm not putting in effort. Like, I really want to lose weight. And so can Qigong help me? Because I don't love to. People who know me know that I don't like to exercise. I don't like to, do strenuous exercises. So can Qigong help me?
Yes, it helps a lot, because weight gain is really a balance of breath, which balances the hormonal system in the body. And also, when we're doing Qigong, let me just do a simple Qigong exercise. Stand back here. We have this Qigong exercise where you step forward, and you roll your hands, and you just do this. And you step forward, and you do this. It doesn't seem like much, but you do that 108 times, you understand? It's work, okay? But when you're curling your arms like this, it's that curling of the arms, which is very important. It actually presses all the lymph nodes in your shoulders and chest area and your hips. So you're squeezing your lymph nodes and you're massaging them. So you have to drink a lot of water afterwards. And you'll find that when you defecate, you absolutely horribly stink, because all that poison is coming out of your body. And by doing that simple exercise, it's been found to cure cancer.
Wow.
So it's actually a really strong workout. You do it 6 times, and you can actually really feel yourself sweating out. And you're not doing much. It's just breath, motion, posture, intent, focus, bringing Qi in, bringing Qi out.
So why would one perspire so much when you run like a pig and then and then works as
Yeah. Well, because you're really setting the Qi off, and the Qi is what really warms the body. And there's an energy channel in our body where you can just actually massage the hand if you wanted to. You can set it off. It's a triple warmer, and that's what brings the warmth to our body. And when that triple energy channel gets opened up through breath and movement and concentration, your metabolism goes up, your pores open up, your body begins to sweat. Of course, you're squeezing those lymph nodes. Now you've put poison into the blood. The brain senses it, says, we got to get it out of here. So the first thing it does is sweat it out and get it out of your body. And it's just a simple exercise, but when combined with work, breath work, and mental intent and visualization is utmost important for healing. And because what happens when we visualize anything, even daydreaming, we create theta waves, and the theta waves out of the brain are what heal us. So just visualizing yourself healing is as important as workout. If you want to visualize yourself as in trim and proper and loss of weight, it would do just as much as a workout. They actually found in science, in Joe Wheeler weightlifting company, they did a study on it, and they found that people who visualize lifting weights actually gained 1% of strength. So when you think about that, just visualizing yourself lifting weights, you actually gain.
So you don't actually have to lift weights to gain that 1% of strength?
Right.
You actually
it was amazing. Well? It was amazing that they actually found that, and that was really helped me on understanding the power of visualization. But it really works when we visualize. It's those theta waves that it creates. That's why those visualization meditations are very, very important for healing. If you do one where you're actually laying down, a person tells you you're going on a trip and you see stars and blah, blah, blah. Visualizing that whole thing really sets off the theta waves in your brain, and those theta waves go out throughout your body, and you actually start healing. And it took me a long time in studying Qigong why we did all this visualization. But when I got into theta healing and craniosacral therapy, we talk about theta waves healing the body. It's like, and it all came together.
It's really daydreaming, because when I was much younger, when I was a little girl, I loved to daydream, and my parents would hit me on the head and say, stop daydreaming, there's no such thing. And then as I grew up, like, you should daydream. The more you daydream, the better you become, and the more money you make, and like what?
Right, exactly. And we're that's another part of society. We build this framework of society where all this stuff is wrong when it's actually right.
Yeah.
You know, there's a Qigong movement of just rocking back and forth on your feet from toe to heel, very slowly, very methodically. And that balances your forward back energies. And you'll see kids doing that in a place. They'll rock back and forth. And people tell, stop doing that! But that's the subconscious balancing out their energy around these other people's energies. It's perfectly natural, and it should be accepted, but we don't, with our egos, we have to say, everything has to be prim, proper, and put into place, without the understanding of the true knowledge of what this child is doing. He's balancing his energies out so he can be accepting.
Exactly. Like children, we actually have so much knowledge, and like what my parents did to me, right? They knocked my head, and of course there was pain. So therefore, I associate daydreaming with pain, and therefore I never daydream again, and life just went crazy. So I think as children we have so much knowledge, like the inner knowledge, the inner wisdom, but yet the adults they killed us with doing the right things.
Yes, and like. When I was a child, my mother yelled at me for breathing with my stomach, and when that's actually the proper way to breathe, but society creates this thing of what should be proper and what isn't proper, and it's not natural. And understand it's basically unlearning what society has taught you and going back to understanding what's natural.
Yeah.
And that's a big learning curve for a lot of people. And that's where the ego can get destroyed too. I mean, we're grown up to think you have to have this house, this car, this thing. You don't really need that stuff. You should follow your life path, and you should have what your life path opens up for you easily. And so many people spend their life struggling for that.
Yeah. So when you said easily, and it came up because it wasn't the journey wasn't easy. It's easy to. It seems easy for you right now, but at that point you said you still needed to do plumbing jobs and stuff like this, and most people aren't willing to lower themselves, so to speak.
Yeah,
right? But
that's the ego thing. It's thinking that's lower. It's ego working at you again, where everything is equal. There is no higher or lower. It's our ego making the positions higher or lower. A plumber is no different than the person who puts a man on the moon. It's still the same tools, the same knowledge, same schooling. So the ego says, oh, and society praises technology for putting a man on the moon, but really it's the plumbing technology that goes into the rocket ship that gets it up. So we forget that whole part of all the plumbers that have to go into effect of matching all those gases and pipes to match together to get it up there. So
actually what my point was, it's like people think, like I used to be like this, a very unconscious spiritual. It's like I just meditate and things will just work out by magic. So it's very irresponsible, but I wasn't willing to do whatever it takes. But I just think like, oh, because I was doing God's work and I'm doing good work, so the clients would just show up. But that's what happened for you. Clients just showed up, not because you didn't do whatever it takes. You actually did whatever it takes for the clients to show up. But there's another camp of people. They're just going to sit there and meditate the whole day and just expect them to show up. So that's what I'm saying, right? You were still willing. You need to take that action.
There's an old joke about that, and it talks about this guy who's in this river floods beside his house. So he climbs up on the roof, and he's sitting there, and he prays to God. He's like, I've been your faithful servant for all these years. Send me some help. And this guy on a log floating down by, he's like, hey, I'm using this tree. I can get you out of here. And he's like, no, God's going to come help me. So he floats down the river. Next thing, this guy in a canoe comes by. He's like, hey, I can get you out of here. He's like, oh, no, I prayed to God, and God's going to help me. Guy goes on by, and then the guy on a motorboat shows up. He's like, look, the river's really going to get bad. You have to get out of here now and hop in. He's like, no, God's going to save me. And sure enough, the river comes down, swallows him alive, and he dies. He goes up to heaven and goes, God, why didn't you save me? He goes, I sent you a guy on a tree. I sent you a guy on a canoe and a motorboat. What else do you want me to do? We have this expectation that, this divine cloud's going to open up and light's going to shoot down upon us and everything's going to be wonderful. But when in actuality we're being tested. I've had clients come in really arrogant. It's like, I did this and it didn't work. And it's like, I did it my way. No, then it won't work. And so I try to teach them my way, and they're just so set that what they got in their head is the only way they're going to heal. And I just tell them, look, if you want to heal your way, just stay on your path. But I have a specific method. It works. It works for me. I've come out of freaking being injured twice and lost everything twice. And I know what I got works. And I'm not going to back down from that. So if you think you can heal so much better doing it your way.
Yeah. And for people like my community, we're all coaches. It's all about getting clients. How am I getting my client? How am I getting my client? But in your example, it's such a good example where, just stay on your path. If you know that coaching, healing, or whatever that you want to do is your path, then the best thing you can do for yourself is to actually have faith. Take the action, do whatever it takes. There's no such thing as good or bad, like what you say, like plumbing or whatever. That's just getting you to where you want to be, and then the client shows up, right? It becomes effortless. you're no longer struggling because, like as you said, you're living your life path, and God's on your side. And don't expect like the Red Sea is going to part and this divine cloud is going to come. And it's just a very human experience until you know, go to heaven, and then you can have the divine clouds. But until then, right? Until then, you know, it's still a very human experience. We have to work through it, and just trust that clients will be there for you. And the worst thing that you, as a service provider, as a healer, as a therapist, or whatever you want to call it, the worst thing you can do for yourself is to not trust. Not trust.
Yeah, the self-doubt and self-distrust that really rip you apart. And that's where the theta healing comes in. When I did the theta healing, I found a lot of negative programs I didn't think I had. And they challenged my very thought. But when I really looked at it, I was like, wait a minute. And when we changed those programs, all of a sudden things started opening up. Every time I've changed a deep negative program, things have opened up around me. And a lot of people don't realize they have these deep negative programs and need to be looked at in depth. And it doesn't have to be this grueling thing. I mean, it's just really, it's prayer. And you have to sit there. You acknowledge that this part is missing out your DNA, and you just need to download it. And then and it's not this, you know, hours of talking or reliving a grueling traumatic situation. It's prayer and relaxation, and it's exact opposite of what people have been taught. It's wonderful.
So, I mean, whether you like it or not, you're already visualizing. You're visualizing the results that you don't want. You're already visualizing, daydreaming the things that you don't desire. You are already doing it. So you need to make that conscious shift to desire and visualize the things that you actually want. And if you have anything that comes up, then that is your negative belief, and then you can act upon it. So tell us, Sam, where can we find you?
Well, I have a website called Wholearthwisdom.com. It explains a little bit about what I'm doing.
Wholearthwisdom.com.
Yeah, Whole Earth Wisdom. Whole Earth is one word, and with only one E. But it's really about getting to my philosophy of teaching people how to heal themselves. And I was in a car accident 14 years ago, and the doctor said it'd be 2 years before I learned to walk. Using Qigong, 10 weeks later, I walked into the hospital, completely healed. So I know what I got works. And it works because it's a learning system. And as long as you're willing to learn to heal yourself, you're actually going to improve. I say within 3 months you can be healed of almost anything that you want to be healed of. And I've had people say to me, well, if they do that, you won't have a client anymore. It's like, that is my purpose in life, to make as many people as happy and healthy and heal as possible so they're not my client anymore. And that'd be wonderful.
That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. As long as people are having sex and having babies.
And that's the whole thing about it. And if they're anything like me, where I'm taking my mountain bike off a ledge and just seeing how far I can fly, there are always going to be people to be taken care of and healed. I mean, I've worked on myself plenty of times for my own. Oh, I can do that. I'm invincible.
If you have fulfilled your mission, then God's just going to give you another one. It's just simple. It's so interesting where people are thinking. It's like the scarcity mindset, right? Like, oh my God, it's going to be taken away. But if your mission is fulfilled, then God's going to give you another one, and the money, the abundance is still going to come.
Yeah, and it's really more of us being aware of what your life path is. I mean, numerology has a lot to do with telling you about your life path. And my numerology is all about being a spiritual teacher. Everything about my numerology and my name, and even the name Samuel, means in the likeness of God himself. And so, my name specifies teaching about spiritual wisdom and helping people heal. So I guess it wasn't my life path, but I'm still that scientist-minded person. I still push down that path. I want to be a scientist, but I'm helping people heal in the process. And So I guess healer is where I keep my focus on. It's like I said, it's a real live video game. You got to play it. Like you got to be aware of, okay, this is happening, and this is where I want to go, and this feeling inside me says I want to do this, and all of a sudden stuff comes in, and then also you're coming to block after block after block after block, and you have to think, what's stopping me? And we like to point the finger and like, oh, that person, or the Illuminati, or people love to point fingers. It's the government's programs. When we actually go inside, we find there's little bit of programs. Like, you know, I see it in grocery stores. Parents like, you stupid young girl, man, you stupid young girl. And this lady said stupid to her daughter like 9 times. I wanted to go over and it's like, don't call her stupid. You know, because you don't know what you're doing to her programs of her head. So she's going to grow up thinking, I'm stupid.
Yeah.
When we forget about that, mind.
It's a bad word in my family. The S word. Nobody's allowed to call anyone stupid. It's a S. It's a bad word.
Right. It's very degrading too. And the thing is she's 9 now, but when she turns 25, she'll have forgotten about that incident in the store, but her subconscious is still programmed. And so when something at 25 comes up, she's like, "Well, I'm stupid and I can't do that." And we got those subconscious programs, and then we got to dig down inside them and really dig out who we are. Why are we failing? And understanding that a lot of times it's our own little tickers up here that stops fear of success. You know, I've had people, I tested them on that, about fear of success, and they tested very heavily because they're like, well, I tried this and I tried that, and I was like, just test them. I'm willing to be successful, and they test negative. It's like, and you get into the whole success thing. They understand that their subconscious programs are limited in success, and if their subconscious programs are limited in success, it's going to relate to healing too. They won't be successfully healed. They won't be successful at their job. They won't be successful at marriage. They won't be successful at anything. And so you have to really understand these subconscious programs. And so it's a wonderful thing, actually.
All right.
The weight thing.
I've learned so much from you over this past 60 minutes. I will definitely check out how Qigong can help me to lose weight, and testing stuff out. You know, just ask questions, bring up statements, and just test yourself, face north, and you know, just check it out from there. And you know where to find Samuel. It's at wholeearthwisdom.com. If you have enjoyed this 60 minutes with him, I'm very sure that you can have more wisdom and motivation tips from him if you spend more time with him. So thank you so much, Samuel, for your time and your wisdom and your knowledge. It's been so awesome speaking with you, and I will look forward to connecting with you really soon.
Wonderful. It's been great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.